An 8-year-old has become an inspiration to so many after standing up for her classmate who was being bullied. Claretta Flynn is a third grader in Fort Mill, South Carolina. On her first day of school, when all of her classmates took their seats, one of the other girls in her class was seated at a desk surrounded by plexiglass. The teacher said the girl's parents had asked for it, and by the end of the day, Claretta said she watched while many of the kids in class teased the girl for having a desk that was different than anyone else's. Claretta went home that day and told her parents what happened.
I told my dad and I said I wanted plexiglass because I didn't want this girl to be left out, that she was the only one having it. And I just thought it was a nice thing to do for somebody.
Oh, I love that. Claretta Flynn's story goes on to show that regardless of your age, anyone can stand up against bullying, and that's what Blanca Cobb is here to talk with us about today. So let's jump right into it. So Blanca, what are some ways to teach children to be compassionate and stand up for others?
A great way to start is with parents. Parents are so influential in their children's lives. So when your child is watching you as the parent, your level of compassion to not only your children, but to other people, that really sets a standard. And then when you catch your children doing something great, like being compassionate, you want to acknowledge it, but it just can't be good job, because it really doesn't mean much in the big picture. It's more like, you know, honey, when you saw Johnny fall and you went over to check on him, did you see that smile on his face? That really showed that you cared and he appreciated it. The more specific you are, the more your children are able to process such a difficult concept as compassion. And then also you want to point out examples of compassionate people, whether you're watching a show together or in real life, you're at the grocery store, at the park. When you see compassion, you want to point it out because it shows your children, or gives your children, other examples of what compassion looks like.
So how do you teach kids to be compassionate?
One great way is by teaching them to read facial expressions. So many times we try to hide what we're really feeling, but if you teach your children to recognize facial expressions of happiness or sadness or anger or fear, because it lets your child know what someone is feeling in the moment, and that way they can respond appropriately. And some people question and they go, wait a second, what do you mean a fake smile? Well, sometimes when someone's being picked on, they don't want anybody to know it's bothering them, so they might give a fake smile even though it's bothering them. And if your child can pick up on those social cues, it really puts them in a good position to be more compassionate, show more compassion, and do something about it.
So as children, we witness a lot of bullying and things of that nature. So how do we teach, what are some tips to teach young children how to stand up for others?
Well, you definitely want to encourage them to speak up, and it starts at home. And that can be tough for mom and dad, because that means your kids are going to have to stand up to you, speak up to you, and you want to encourage it. But you want to encourage it when it's done tactfully yet assertively. And realize this, with young children, a lot of times they're led by emotion. It's how they're feeling. So you want to teach them how to rein in that emotion and use non-confrontational words, modulate their tone of voice to still be assertive yet tactful. For example, if there's name calling, you can teach your child to say, hey, name calling isn't necessary. I don't really understand what you're trying to tell me, but if you use your words and explain how you're feeling, I can understand. So if your children hears that language in home from you, they're going to be able to take that same language, put it in their own words, and use it when they're out of the house, when they're at school or on the playground or they're with friends.
Absolutely. Some great information and advice that kids can use each and every day. You can continue the conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, Body Language Expert.